brief idea of what this connected car means in today's global perspective and what are the various directions in which research is going on and what are the major challenges that the global community is facing and how we can reach the target. So when we say a car is connected, it has a capability to interact and communicate actively with the environment and collect the data around it, and it's able to model or visualize the environment in a way it can extract some sensible inputs and feed it to the driver in order to make the driver drive comfortably and also accident free. So how do we manage this kind of information collection and feeding it for a better driving? So that is the core of this connected technology. And of course, there are a lot of other areas where this connected technology is utilized, particularly for automotive, mainly in terms of convenience functions, which we see often in terms of informatics, in infotainment and different applications like e-tolling, etc. But when it comes to the connectivity from a safety point of view, that is where the core focus of all the OEMs are now. And with that, I just looked at going to the core of what I wanted to discuss today. It's mainly from the connectivity from safety perspective. And here, the OEMs have a separate target and the regulatory or the government agencies look at it in a broader way. The OEM's target is to use this connectivity as much as possible to give intelligence to the vehicle and put a lot of local onboard sensors like radars or cameras, etc., and use that to gauge the environment and help the driver for accident-free driving. So this technology will grow to the level where the accident-free driving can reach the automated driving scenario. Now it's well popularized by Google also that autonomous driving is something which is reachable. But there are a lot of challenges with respect to that, and that is where OEMs are focused and how do we move forward towards autonomous driving. And here, already we are on the path because many of these connected automated driver assistance systems are supporting the driver in various ways. It acts as a co-pilot already. So to take it forward further is where a lot of efforts is being put. And our company is also focusing mainly on this aspect of improving the driving comfort and also the safety aspects and how do we make it accident free.
PreSafe is the comprehensive protection system from Mercedes-Benz. The supplemental Brake Assist Plus and the PreSafe brake help to prevent or reduce the severity of accidents, thereby protecting other road users. With pedestrian recognition, the PreSafe brake now takes on a new dimension. A stereo camera and a system of long, medium, and short-range radar monitor the area in front of the vehicle. The information is combined and processed in a control unit to provide early recognition of road users in the lane analyzed. At the same time, these data are used to calculate whether there is a risk of collision. If such a risk is identified, the system can provide visual and audible warnings at first. If the driver brakes, Brake Assist Plus ensures that the optimal brake pressure is applied, even if the pedal has been pressed too lightly. In critical situations, if the driver does not take action, autonomous braking may take place as necessary. The PreSafe brake with pedestrian recognition can prevent collisions with people at speeds of over 50 kilometers per hour. Moreover, the severity of an accident can be reduced significantly at up to 72 kilometers per hour.
From the automotive OEM perspective, we look at connectedness from this point of view, where we put in multiple sensors and collect all the data and do an extensive algorithm analysis inside the onboard computer on the vehicle. And that analysis will involve multiple data where data is fused across the sensors. And this data is sometimes different types of radars like short range, medium range, or long range radars, not just in the front, also at the rear of the vehicle, and also multiple sensors like ultrasonic sensors or optical camera. All this information is to be processed in real time or faster than real time on the onboard computer. And this is because as the traffic is moving, there is a dynamic change in the scenario. And to make meaning of this dynamic change and also make a right action to react for the driver or for the vehicle itself is the most critical thing here. And this is one aspect of the challenge. And also, actually in some of the examples what I show in the video, it's on this, where there are a lot of traffic scenarios you see. It is not possible for the car which is on a hazard situation to communicate well across all the other vehicles in its environment. So in order to get to that, vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity is the most critical thing there. And how do we do this vehicle-to-vehicle connectivity? For this, there is a separate line of technology focus being given by almost all the OEMs. The group of OEMs formed a consortium along with the US Department of Transportation to come up with some standards in managing the car-to-car connectivity. So this is again based on radar communication. It's called dedicated short-range communication. It's something similar to Wi-Fi, what we use for a LAN application, but it has a little more sophistication to take care of the real-time challenges on the road, and also it takes care of the interference aspects. So this kind of connectivity using this DSRC, dedicated short-range communication, is where the whole lot of technology focus has been given, and various activities are going on in this to ensure that this gets installed on all the vehicles. The major advantage here is once you put such a system onto a vehicle, it is capable of communicating its coordinates as well as the velocity and the direction to the vehicles around it. Moment that information is available for the vehicle in that region, it has a range of about 200 to 500 meters. And such a range, if the vehicles are able to communicate well with this information, we can even go to the level of using this information to see a hazard situation and warn the driver in advance. So even without onboard sensors available, this is capable of doing it. Of course, the major challenge here in this kind of technology is it requires every car to have the system and capability. And even if one doesn't have it, the purpose of cooperative driving is not met. So onboard sensor is on one side, what is the focus of OEMs towards reaching autonomous driving. And the other side, we have this kind of government-enabled mechanism of consortium activities for a connected car protocol, communication protocol. Together, they have to meet somewhere for a cooperative driving situation. And if we can manage these two together, then I feel like the challenge of taking care of the complete advantage of a vehicle's environment and the safety of the driver, and also not only cater to the convenience aspects, but fully take care of the road aspects with respect to the surroundings. So this is something which is definitely possible, and work is going on. I feel there are a lot of challenges in this also. As I mentioned, one of the challenge of this connectedness is on vehicle-to-vehicle communication is the availability or requirement of every vehicle needing to have this system, and also there should be a protocol if a vehicle has an onboard sensor. Particularly luxury vehicles have several onboard sensors, and all these onboard sensor information is processed heavily. And moment you have so much of information, what of this information needs to be passed to which car is a very important question we need to address, because each car in the environment will have a different threat scenario with respect to accident situation. So each of this should get a dedicated right message, and the driver at the same time should not be flooded with too much of information. Obviously now we already know that mobile phone plays a major role in driver distraction. So adding to it now, when we are trying to put a safety aspect into the vehicle, we shouldn't end up in flooding information to the driver and also cause a sense of worry for the driver in order to react appropriately. So that is the most important thing. And some of our cars already has technology to even intervene and supersede the driver. So some situations where there are challenges where the driver is warned audio, visual, and still he has not reacted for various reasons. Either is not capable due to some alertness issue, or he is not wanting to take control for some other reason, he is distracted totally. So in such a situation, the vehicle takes control automatically and starts applying brake. Actually, there is a system called a pre-safe in Mercedes, where this pre-safe is to prepare the vehicle for an eventual collision and what are the issues that are involved in such a situation. So you start tightening the seat belts, position the seats in the front row appropriately so that the neck rest is taken care of and there is no neck injury possible. So a set of actions are taken, a hazard light is put on. All this is done to ensure that we'll avoid an accident as much as possible with all these mitigation actions, and if it is inevitable, at least make it less damaging. So this is state of things. And in this process, some of the mitigation action go to the level of intervening and reducing the impact of the accident. So it can go and activate the brake to a level where it starts reducing the vehicle speed drastically. And even then the driver is not reacted by then, it goes to the level of braking it completely. Only disadvantage situation can come up here is the hazard light is on, but the driver at the back of the vehicle should know and react appropriately. If he doesn't, you're still not done. So you're protected yourself from one accident in the front, but you're still made yourself vulnerable for something at the back. So these kind of challenges are there, and that is where communication and cooperative driving is a very important thing, and it's felt by the industry clearly, but OEMs cannot themselves drive it for the obvious reasons that immediate there is no results. And you can participate and give value, but you have your own targets and what makes business sense for you, you work on that. And definitely putting a lot of driver assistance function makes a lot of business sense for OEMs, and they do it because more and more features are added and you have a pedestrian recognition and combine it with this pre-safe as well as a collision avoidance system. It makes huge sense for OEMs to sell such a technology and they make money out of it. There is a business sense out of it. But in order to change the scenario for a connected car communication system itself to be set up, government and regulatory bodies need to actively participate in promoting that. Until that happens, I think it will always be a challenge to have a complete cooperative driving. So that is one part of my talk. The second part, I just want to briefly touch upon the diagnostic aspects where because all this is vehicle to vehicle communication. There is one more important topic where we as a company also look actively, particularly for commercial vehicles now, is the vehicle to infrastructure communication for diagnostics, or what Chetan just briefly discussed for his actual showcase also. So here, commercial vehicles, when they go on remote locations, particularly on long haul applications, they get stranded, and how do we take care of that? So one way is like we have a remote communication capability with a central service station. They continuously get updates from the onboard diagnostic system to the remote central station, and it analyzes the information and comes up with some fault situations captured. And once the fault situations are there, then the central station, service station starts working on it to find the root cause. And the root cause, once it is known, it knows what is the solution, how to take care of this repair scenario, and it gives the repair instructions plus the spare part requirements to the nearby service station. And the whole problem here is the downtime of the vehicle is very, very critical. And how do we reduce the downtime? In a commercial vehicle, it makes a lot of business sense to keep minimal downtime. And in such a situation, how do we take care of it? And the nearby service station gets all this information and it arranges for the spare before the vehicle comes there or they go to the location of the breakdown. So this is one important topic, but there is again a challenge here with respect to mechanical failure. How do you integrate that properly so that your diagnostics or root cause makes sense? Because many a cases, some mechanical failure could have occurred due to wear and tear or some improper road condition, etc. And there is a huge challenge of how do you integrate this to arrive at the right root cause so that you go with the right mechanical component there and manage the thing. So that is one aspect where we are still focusing and looking at it. Thank you very much. That's all from my side.
Do you ever think in India the DAS or the autonomous driving will be a reality?
I think I leave this responsibility to Sri Krishnan because he's looking at the Indian scenario, but it's a difficult answer actually. To how to make meaning in an Indian drive scenario pose a lot of challenge. Just during lunchtime, we had a brief discussion to see whether we can have some lateral thoughts to handle Indian kind of challenges, where honking could be used as one of the indicator to find the density of traffic. If there's a traffic jam and you hear, actually this was given by Amarjit, right? So that was a very innovative thought, and maybe such solutions should come up. But this technology is not so much advanced even in the organized traffic condition, well organized structured traffic condition, where there are a lot of traffic scenarios to there are a few traffic scenarios which cannot be predicted well, because simple thing like when a person is standing on the side of the road, we can't even say whether he is going to cross the road or not. It could be just incidental that he is standing on the road, but when you have to have an algorithm to estimate it, that speed it has to do this estimation because you don't have too much time. And if you estimate correctly, you would have protected that without a collision. Otherwise, it goes into a problem where like you end up in an accident. So such tricky things, we do not know how to make a machine understand and tackle such situation. And in Indian environment, we can imagine like it's impossible. I wonder how we predict while driving. But by and large, I think we are capable of doing it because of our evolutionary mindset or probably divine intervention. But still, like machines are still not so intelligent.
Hi, I am Ritinder. You mentioned that there are quite a few sensors on the car and the data from them has to be processed in real time.
And updated continuously.
Right. So I was just wondering how much of a challenge is the processing of this data in real time?
Definitely, it's a big challenge. Like to find the right algorithm to identify a pedestrian appropriately, and to have an idea of and whether that scenario is going to evolve with a high probability, and if so, what kind of safety you have to take care.
So, do the processors that are being utilized currently, are they enough to handle this computation, or would it help if the computation could be done more efficiently somehow?
Processing power is definitely an important factor,
Okay.
but and good algorithm is the core of it.
Sure.
And many of the traffic junctions, even in India, we face a lot of issues on some traffic junction. Let's say there are 4 roads, and one person wants to turn. He doesn't know the other person is waiting for him, or because once you start moving, he also moves. It goes on like that. Finally, you do not know to wait or to move forward. So that kind of scenarios is very difficult to actually.
Even if you have a lot of computation power, it might be difficult.
Yes. So some intelligence plus the good algorithms plus the computation power together should solve most of the things like.